And we are back live from Washington State. With the playoffs creeping up for the NBA, let's talk about what I think will happen and who has the best odds to win the MVP award. In addition to that, I'd like to talk about the NFL offseason and who had the most noticeable free agent signings. Let's jump right into our first topic. With the Eastern standings, we have the Sixers in the first seed, the Nets in the second with the tied record, the Bucks in the third, the Hawks in the fourth, the Heat in the fifth, the Hornets in the sixth, the Knicks in the seventh, and the Celtics in the eighth. You know, the East has always been a very weaker conference, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of others people's opinions. But really this year, you can see that it's came out a lot. The Hornets and the Knicks haven't been there in a very long time. And Julius Randle, LaMelo Ball, and the Hornets are really all showing out. And I'm actually pretty impressed to see where they are. And I'm very surprised about the Celtics being, well, at the 8th seed. I mean, that's really confusing to me, but honestly, we'll see how they do in the playoffs. I don't think Tatum and Brown can really win a chip with Boston. With this squad, I mean, they have a very good squad, a very young squad. But truly, I don't think they can win a chip with it. I think they need another superstar. You know, Hayward is great and all that, but really I think they need another superstar to really go far. With that being said, let's talk about the Nets. Man, I mean, their squad just seems to be getting better and better. Offensively, that is. Defensively, really not so much, but I mean, you're really going to put up 130 points if you want to beat the Nets. So that's very hard to do for a lot of teams. And I don't see anyone beating the Nets. And honestly, yes, the Lakers are obviously, they're the 5th seed in the Western Conference. We'll get to that in a second. But honestly, I don't know if they're going to be in the finals this year. Yes, the loss of LeBron, the loss of AD for a little bit are harsh losses. I mean, crucial pieces. Obviously, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but you got to be good as a team if you want to beat the Nets right now. I mean, seriously, their bench is great. Their starting five, I mean, over 40-plus All-Star appearances. That's just insane to me. We'll see if LeBron can do it in, year 17, year 16, and Anthony Davis. We'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting, but I think the Nets will be in the finals out of the Eastern Conference. Sixers, I love them, and I wanted Joel Embiid to win MVP. Sadly, with his injury, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. But really, I think it's between the Nets and the Sixers. You could look at the Bucks, but really, you know, it's almost the same thing every year. They're not adding too many huge weapons. They're obviously not a bad team at all, and they haven't been since Giannis has been the MVP. And really, there's a scary team to play against, but I don't think that they will be going to the finals this year. Let's move to the Western Conference. Western Conference, we got the Jazz at the 1st seed, we got the Suns at the 2nd seed, the Clippers at the 3rd, the Nuggets at the 4th, the Lakers at the 5th, the Blazers at the 6th, the Mavs at the 7th, and the Grizzlies at the 8th. Grizzlies always seem to be in that 8th spot. Kind of funny to me. I don't think they'll really be doing too much in the playoffs this year. The Suns and the Jazz, very surprising to me that they are top 2. I haven't watched a lot of NBA lately. I've been, very busy in my life. Those two teams really surprised me, and I really want to see them go far. I love Devin Booker. I love Donovan Mitchell, mostly because of 2K. Play with him a lot. But those two teams could really go far, and I'm not happy if I'm a Lakers fan right now. Clippers fans, I would also be very happy right now. The 3rd seed, you're sitting kind of pretty. The Western Conference is going to, of course, as every year, be the most fun conference to watch. I'm super excited to see what the Nuggets can do and everything. I mean, and I want to talk a little bit about the MVP, and I'm gonna go Jokic. I love the big man being the front runners for the MVP. I loved MVP'd or whatever they call him, Joel. I wanted him to win it. Love the Sixers, really do. But Jokic looks like he could be the front runner now, and I really hope that he can win it. Now, a dark horse, kind of, Kyrie Irving. Man, he's been in his bag. You see his game. He just had a 40-point game tonight against the Knicks. And I mean, he's been throwing up 30s, 25s, with high assists or rebounds, especially with Harden and KD on your team. Oh, and Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, and I guess DJ's kind of washed now. But shoot, their team is stacked, and Kyrie's still putting up the points and still putting the team on his back. I don't remember when he said it, probably 2018, 2019, when he said that he feels like he should be the leader of the team, and that's why he left LeBron and the Cavs. He's starting to prove it. He really is starting to prove it. I think Kyrie Irving, right now, right next to Kevin Durant, is the best player on that team with how he's playing. I mean, it's insane, and it's so much fun to watch him. It's like old Kyrie with his handles, his finishes, everything. Super exciting to watch him. Love that man. One last thing we're going to talk about with the NBA is who is a bigger threat to Brooklyn. the Sixers or the Bucks. Now, I obviously said that the Hawks and the Heat and the Hornets, they could be doing some damage. I really think the Sixers and the Bucks will be the biggest threats to the Nets going to the finals, their road to the finals. But really, I see the Nets beating both of those teams. The Sixers, again, I love them, but sad to say, they usually choke in the playoffs, or they just don't come through, you know. And I don't see the Bucks doing it either. I truly don't. Giannis, of course, having another great season, defensively and offensively, but really, I don't see anyone beating the Nets, man. I don't see anyone beating the Nets right now. And again, like I said in either my last video or the video before that, when they just had Kyrie, KD, and James Harden, if LeBron beats this Nets team, I'm sorry, I don't care if you disagree, he is the best ever. Again, I have MJ as my GOAT right now, but we've never seen competition like this, ever. And the regular season is so different from the postseason or the playoffs. It is so different. This is going to be the most exciting playoffs, in my opinion, this year. I mean, I'm excited to watch it a lot. Let's talk a little bit about the NFL now. We'll start with our first topic. We're going to talk about the offseason moves, free agency, all that. A lot of signings happened. Not a lot. A lot surprised me, I should say, but not a lot didn't surprise me. I know that contradicts each other, but really, Kenny Golladay going to the Giants surprised me. It surprised me a lot. I honestly thought that the Lions were going to keep him and really try again with Jared Goff, but they're obviously in rebuild mode. Rebuilding around Jared Goff. They're really putting a lot of faith into him. It's going to be interesting to see what Detroit really does. They don't really have too much there. But stuff that surprised me, the Bears franchise tagging Allen Robinson, man, they got to get him out of there. They really got to get him out of there. It's embarrassing that they franchise tagged him, man. I really would have tried, you know, I wouldn't have franchise tagged him. I wouldn't have. You don't have a good quarterback still. And, you know, you're not going to take one really in the draft a early good one. But I don't see the Bears doing great. And the Allen Robinson franchise tag really surprised me. Another one that surprised me was the Aaron Jones franchise tag. At first, I was very surprised, but then I remembered, then the Jamal Williams signing to Detroit happened, and I wasn't as surprised. Still very weird to see them, the Packers really let him go. I really thought that Aaron Jones, you didn't pay him as much, which he did take a big pay cut, I believe, but I really still would have paid A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams, have those be your two in the back, and I think you would have been just as fine. If not even better, in my opinion. I love Aaron Jones, but I love A.J. Dillon. In his first game that he started in, I mean, man had over, 120 rushing yards and a few touchdowns. It was insane. Maybe even 200 yards, I forget. But in the snow, too. Man's quads are huge. Love him. But either way, Packers are sitting pretty, of course, and we'll see what they do next year in the NFC. Let's talk about the Patriots. Don't like them. Really never have, for obvious reasons, but let's talk about them. So I'm not going to talk about all of their offseason franchise or free agent signings. I'm going to talk about the two that really interest me the most, and that's Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. Now, I love both those tight ends, mostly because of fantasy, with Hunter Henry at least. But Jonnu Smith is a very underrated tight end in my opinion. I think he's a very good tight end, and obviously Hunter Henry's had some pretty solid quarterbacks besides Herbert, who's a very good quarterback, throwing to him. I just don't see what the Patriots either see in Cam Newton or what they're going to do with him. With that being said, he could have a lot better of a year now that he has a lot more weapons, defensively and offensively. And I mean that as if you're a quarterback and you're sitting on the sideline and your defense sucks, it's hard to get a fight in you, knowing that your offense is also, you know, not the nicest. And go out there and do something. And I think that Cam Newton could bounce back this year. I don't believe in it, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it happened. The signing of Jonnu Smith and tight end and Hunter Henry really could be a great two tight end set, and I hope they run that instead of just switching them out. But two big guys and who can catch the ball, who can run receiver routes. It'll be very interesting to see them on the same team with the Patriots offense. Let's talk about Darnold to the Panthers. This is very exciting. This just happened today after my little workout. Checked my phone, SportsCenter told me, and I was so excited. I put it on my story and everything. Make sure to go check that out. The Sports Prodigies on Instagram. I am so excited to see Sam Darnold in the Carolina Panthers offense. Man, as a Steelers fan, I really wanted him. Obviously, I'm shooting for the stars. I want Deshaun Watson. I'm not going to get him, especially with signing Dwayne Haskins in the 1 year to Big Ben, blah, 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 all that. But Sam Darnold, I truly believe, people are 50-50 on him, and I totally get it. I mean, look at the seasons he's had, but look at the heart he plays with. I'm very excited to see what he does with this Panthers offense. Gosh, have C-Mac healthy all year. You're looking at a playoff team. You're looking at a great team. No matter how Sam Darnold performs, but I know he's going to perform better than what he has with New York. And Ryan Tannehill, after being with, I believe, Adam Gase for a year, and then leaving him and going to the Titans, really obviously impacted him. Look at how his throw percentages, his touchdowns, his yards. He was a better quarterback in a better system, and I think Sam Darnold will be the exact same. I truly believe that he can be, this will be my hot take, so write this down, everyone. But I believe he'll be a top 10, top 8 even quarterback this year. Now, who wins this trade? Honestly, the Jets could have probably won this trade. I think they could have gotten a little bit more for him, but they did get a lot for him. And it's hard to trade Sam Darnold. I think it's in between, because Teddy Bridgewater is still, it's not a terrible quarterback. Definitely not the answer in Carolina. But I think it's a fair trade. Honestly, probably one of the more fair trades in the league. I don't think New York really got screwed over, and I don't think Carolina really got screwed over. And people could say that, oh, Carolina definitely got screwed over. Sam Darnold sucks. They shouldn't have traded away their second rounders and all this, blah, 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 blah. But just watch Sam Darnold this year in a better offense and a better coaching staff, and you'll see why this trade was fair, or the Panthers really won it. With that being said, I think either Zach Wilson or Mac Jones will be going to the Jets now. I don't think they were obviously getting Deshaun Watson or anything with his cases and all that stuff. But really, I think that, I think they're going to take either Mac Jones or maybe even Fields. It's honestly, the NFL draft is really screwed up this year. Not screwed up, but I don't think really anyone could truly predict the first 10 picks and be all right. It's going to be very interesting and different this year. Touching base on Mac Jones possibly going to the Jets. What does this mean for the Niners? Well, they traded the Dolphins, obviously, for the 3rd pick in the draft. And if the Jets don't take Mac Jones, I wouldn't be too scared as the Niners. I don't know why they really would. I don't think Mac Jones is, the most amazing quarterback. And he didn't show out too much in his pro day. But with that being said, Fields, I want Fields as a Niner. I would be very excited to see them take him at 3rd, and I think they really will. If I'm the Niners, I wouldn't even be looking at Mac Jones, and I'm praying that the Jets take him, and I'd take Justin Fields in this draft and in this situation. Last little topic I'm going to touch base on is, where is Deshaun Watson going to be going? Obviously, I think this year, with all these cases and all this stuff, I truly don't believe it. I don't know how anyone else feels on it. With more evidence that comes up, I think obviously more people will believe into it. But for now, football-wise, I think he stays with Houston, which is sad. In multiple videos I've said, Carolina, Chicago, the Niners, the Jets, there's so many places that he could have went to. But honestly, if he sits, which he will sit this year out, I guarantee it. Obviously, he'll be losing a bunch of money, but I don't think he wants to stay with Houston, and I don't blame him. Terrible organization and terrible team, really, especially with J.J. Watt gone now. That team is just not doing too hot. But I think he sits this year out, and it really just, it depends on what happens this year, what happens before the trade deadline, and all that stuff. What happens in the draft. Really, it all depends on what happens the next year. He could be traded soon, obviously, but I don't think anyone's looking to trade him with all these cases going around right now. No one wants to waste that money just in case it really is true. I appreciate you guys coming and watching my videos. Definitely be on a better schedule sooner or later. Definitely gonna have some more basketball videos coming out, especially with the playoffs and the finals and all that. And maybe some college football and basketball videos coming out soon too. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.